next news. Breaking news from the White House.
More than 400 suspected birth tourism cases in Europe. At least 6 companies coaching mothers on exactly what to say in visa interviews. Housing lined up, delivery plans arranged. And in West Africa, Trump's State Department busted more than 100 foreign nationals using fraudulent documents and visa fixers to game American citizenship. That's not immigration. That's a franchise operation for selling the American passport out of a maternity ward. And while the Trump administration smashes the pipeline, Rashida Tlaib says, yes, automatic citizenship for illegal aliens. Children. The scam is global. The defense of it is domestic. And the split screen gets uglier from here. Now, this fight hits the meaning of censorship or citizenship itself. If a foreign national can fly in on a tourist visa, follow a script from one of 6 birth tourism companies, use fraudulent documents, give birth in an American hospital, and walk out with the child plugged into the citizenship pipeline, then the ruling class turned the greatest civic inheritance on earth into a coupon code. Trump finally snapped that lie in half. His State Department revoked more than 100 visas in North Africa, hammered the West African network with more than 100 foreign nationals caught in the act, and tracked over 400 suspected cases in Europe since 2024. Then the State Department said the line every weak administration should have said years ago. A U.S. visa is a privilege. It's not a right. Exactly. And look at the payoff already. The White House just highlighted that the foreign-born labor force has fallen sharply over the past year. Enforcement works. Trump put Americans back at the front of the line, and the consultant class that mocked him just got torched by reality. When 6 companies can coach foreigners through visa interviews, I start valuing things that actually restore strength instead of gaming the system. I saw Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson talk light-based therapies after serious health struggles and dramatic turnarounds, and Gibson said this: "The stuff works." Then Jonathan Otto introduced me to red light therapy. My wife had constant discomfort and anxiety. Then came real restful sleep, better energy, and improved recovery. And the science matters too. NASA-backed research, FDA-cleared devices, red and near-infrared wavelengths for deeper penetration, plus PEMF mass infrared heat and full-body coverage that supports circulation, reduce inflammation, and deliver cellular-level support at home instead of paid sessions. It's practical support for recovery and sleep without chasing endless appointments. Go to myredlight.com. Use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. Americans deserve solutions that actually work. Now here's the part the open borders crowd can't spin away. Justice Brett Kavanaugh just carved out a path for Congress to act without congressional amendment. Constitutional amendment. He wrote separately to make clear the problem sits in federal statute. In plain English, Republicans do not need permission from CNN, the law schools, or the donor class. They need backbone. And while Congress weighs that opening, remember who's fighting on the other side. Rashida Tlaib on camera flatly endorsing automatic citizenship and scoffing when loyalty and voting come up. And you're about to see the receipts. Wall Street Apes posting that more birthright tourism companies bringing mothers into America to give birth.
Well, a massive update on the Trump administration's crackdown on birth tourism. The State Department shutting down a sophisticated tourism network after the U.S. Embassy in West Africa revealed more than 100 foreign nationals were using fraudulent documents and visa fixers to illegally obtain American citizenship. And it was a similar story in North Africa. Over 100 visas were just revoked as the embassy there said expecting mothers were coming to America to give birth for the sole purpose of giving their child American citizenship. Meanwhile, in Europe, we now know that there was over 400 suspected birth tourism cases since 2024. And investigators managed to trace them to at least 6 companies that coached foreign nations on what to say in their visa interview. The birth tourism companies also arranged housing in America and even set up delivery plans for expectant mothers. Now, the State Department adding, quote, a U.S. visa is a privilege. It is not a right. The State Department is taking action around the world to stop this abuse, to dismantle birth tourism networks, and hold accountable those who try to scam our system.
For those that don't understand how widespread this birthright tourism industry is, let me just give you two examples. There were 500 birth tourism companies in China whose only purpose is to bring people to America to have babies for U.S. citizenship. This is 100% exposed and it's 100% real. Let me give you one other example. Here's another birthright citizenship scam in China. Over 180,000 Chinese came to America to give birth in just 1 year, including Chinese military officers and high-ranking CCP officials. Wrap your head around that. You have 180,000 Chinese in just 1 year that get U.S. citizenship by birthright. So again, you have this report that says 500 birth tourism companies were identified in China. And if we go back here, we have more than 1,000 birth tourism companies that were identified exclusively focused on the United States in China alone.
So it's not an isolated abuse, it's an industry. And next, a cartoon aimed straight at the judges. The critics are keeping the birthright loophole wide open. Garrison cartoons. All right. Couldn't help playing with Grok, but it worked, didn't it? Amy Coney Barrett, birthright citizenship for the entire world. An original Ben Garrison cartoon. Oh my goodness. It's a boy, it's a girl, it's the whole world. Unreal. The cartoon makes the argument in one frame. Now here's the legal opening. Kavanaugh is signaling Congress can change the statute without touching the Constitution. Brett Kavanaugh opened a clear path for reforming birthright citizenship. In yesterday's Supreme Court ruling on Trump's executive order, Kavanaugh agreed with the outcome, but wrote separately to clarify the order did not violate the 14th Amendment itself. It only conflicted with current federal statute. He explicitly stated that Congress has the power to amend the statute or pass new legislation creating exceptions to automatic birthright citizenship for children born to parents who are unlawfully present or only temporarily in the United States. It's a major signal from the court that the issue can be fixed through ordinary legislation without needing a constitutional amendment. So if the court is pointing Congress to act, Democrats are making clear where they stand. Watch Rashida Tlaib flatly back automatic citizenship for children born here to illegal aliens. Allison Steinberg, Lindell TV.
Congressman, you're here celebrating the SCOTUS decision to uphold birthright citizenship. Just want to clarify, the Democrat stance is if someone is here illegally, they have a child in America, then that child should in turn be an American citizen. Yes. Isn't that concerning, though? I mean, these people don't have allegiance to America. Many of them are chanting death to America. In fact,
I think that's very much a racist trope.
It's a racist trope?
Yeah, I've grown up in Southwest Detroit where there's 20 different ethnicities. I went to high school where folks didn't know what their immigration status is, but boy, did they love our community. Did they give back to our community? And what I see is many of our immigrant communities, whatever their status is centered on community and centered on family. And some of the most safest, most thriving communities in our country are with immigrants.
You think these immigrants should be allowed to vote in American elections too?
I mean, if U.S. citizens are allowed to vote, you have to be an American citizen to vote in our country.
But there are illegals voting in American elections.
I don't believe that to be the case.
So she dismisses the concern. But on Capitol Hill, some Republicans are done playing nice. Chip Roy unloads and calls for immigration to be paused before the loophole gets exploited even further.
Some sort of plaything. And now today, the United States Supreme Court manufacturing out of thin air a complete abomination of a ruling by the Chief Justice suggesting that you can simply become a citizen from being born on dirt, thereby validating the abhorrent practice of baby factories and moving people here to be born to be able to become a citizen, leaving us under no choice but to do what we must do to say, pause immigration. Just stop it. Stop all immigration, because if it's going to be exploited for people to come here when they're pregnant, to people to allow somebody who's working for the Chinese Communist Party and to come here and have children to become American citizens, and then have our laws exploited like they were under the previous administration. It is why this Congress should act to pause all immigration. This Congress should act immediately to codify what the president has been doing to close the loopholes under asylum and parole, the catch and release policies, and to codify those that a future Biden and Mayorkas administration cannot do to the American people what these radical leftists did to the American people. And then dare sit here and testify under questioning by my colleagues that we need to have more taxpayer money going to the local jurisdictions to make up for what they caused.
So Roy says Congress has to move, in DOJ. Over there, Todd Blanche says the administration is already looking at visa enforcement and prosecutorial tools to choke off birth tourism.
Questions about two recent Supreme Court rulings. Let's start with yesterday, the birthright citizenship ruling. I know you guys announced yesterday you're going to ramp up efforts to combat birth tourism schemes. But Secretary Mullen said earlier today there are discussions about other options after this ruling. Can you discuss what other options are on the table after yesterday's decision?
Well, from a Department of Justice standpoint, it's obviously focusing our prosecutors and our law enforcement partners on birthing tourism, and it's a booming industry, and it will continue. It will continue given the Supreme Court's decision yesterday. There's other things that DHS can do and the federal government can do in the visa process and the application process to try to minimize or limit the opportunity of folks coming here to not to visit and not to do what they're saying they're doing on their tourist visa, but just to have a baby that can then be a U.S. citizen. So from our standpoint, it's focusing on what is a problem. So everybody should agree that it's a violation of our laws if your intent in coming here, if you're pregnant, is to have a child to become a United States citizen because of our now laws. And so what we have to do as the Department of Justice is make sure our agents, our HSI agents that we work with and the FBI are focused on stopping that. And that's what we're going to do. So, yeah.
So even with the court ruling, the Trump team says there's still ways to shut the scam down next. Rand Paul says waiting on the politics is cowardice. He's already put a constitutional amendment on the table. He says, some of my colleagues are waiting to see how the politics shake out after the ruling. We can't afford that. I introduced my constitutional amendment months ago. So Paul wants action, not excuses, and the White House says Trump's broader crackdown's already delivering results, with the workforce becoming more American as foreign-born labor drops. Here's Caroline Leavitt, press secretary. She says the June jobs report showed that foreign-born labor force has fallen sharply over the past year, a sign that President Donald Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration is reshaping the composition of the U.S. labor market. So that is the Trump effect in the labor market: less illegal competition, more room for American workers. But while the administration tightens enforcement, Tim Walz is heading the other direction with a pardon that has outraged the country. Tim Walz pardons an illegal migrant convicted of sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl.
Democratic socialist movement that shook New York is now scoring major wins out west.
Walz is already under fire for the pardon. Now the backlash gets louder. Fresh calls for him to resign over shielding an illegal alien convicted.
Over protecting an illegal immigrant convicted of repeatedly sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl. It's a hard story to talk about and to read about, but it happened and we need to tell you. Homeland Security accusing Governor Tim Walz of granting a pardon, effectively just wiping away his criminal record to help shield the man from a final order of deportation.
So Brooke Taylor is on that. She joins us now for more. And Brooke, what did you find out? Good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Well, Governor Tim Walz facing major backlash for this. So he sits on the board that pardoned this convicted child sex offender as he was just about to be deported. So back in 2006, Tao Lee Vang right here, he was convicted of repeatedly sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl in Minnesota. He pleaded guilty in a deal that kept him out of prison. DHS says that conviction cost him his legal status and made him deportable. Well, the details in these court documents. They're too graphic for me to repeat to you on air, but it describes the abuse spanning 2 years from the time the victim was 10 to just 12 years old. The girl told investigators she met Vang through her older sister, who he later married. Investigators say he admitted, quote, "I made a mistake, but this is a minor thing. It's a cultural thing in Thailand to marry and have sex with girls as young as 12. He also told police that the young victim should be arrested too because she was, quote, as much at fault. Now, according to DHS, he received a deportation order after his conviction, but earlier this month, Minnesota's Board of Pardons voted to pardon him. Federal officials say this wipes away his conviction that made him removable and now could help him fight deportation. So the 3-member board includes Governor Tim Walz, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Chief Justice Natalie Hudson. DHS blasted the decision, saying in part, Governor Tim Walz's decision to pardon an illegal alien, convicted child rapist so he can remain in our country is disgusting. This pardon will take away the child rapist qualifying convictions that made him removable from the United States. Now, we reached out to all 3 board members, including Governor Walz, to ask why they decided to pardon this convicted child sex offender. We have not heard back, Bill.
Okay, Brooke, thanks. Brooke Taylor on that story. Tough story to talk about. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course they haven't responded. So the outrage isn't just online or on cable. DHS is putting it in black and white next. You'll see the department's own post. In the pardon letter, critics say protected a deportable child rapist. Tim Walz facing mass calls to resign, praying for this guy preying on a 10-year-old. Tim Walz supports him. Resign now.
Minnesota leaders of shielding an illegal immigrant child predator from deportation. This guy pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl in 2006. He was scheduled for deportation, but last month, Governor Tim Walz gave him a pardon. The DHS acting assistant secretary ripping the Democrat, saying, quote, Governor Tim Walz's decision to pardon an illegal alien convicted child rapist so he can remain in our country is disgusting.
So, to close this out, we shift overseas to a blunt example from Poland. Security first, borders first, nation first. We have that? Oh, yeah. Poland refused to host Muslim immigrants. Poland was accused of Islamophobia. Today, Poland is safer than any country in Europe. Poland has no gangs of rapists or daily demonstrations in support of Hamas. So the moral collapse lands with one exchange. Alison Steinberg asked Rashida Tlaib a clean question. If someone's here illegally and has a child in America, should that child automatically become a citizen? Tlaib answered yes. Then Steinberg pressed on allegiance and she snapped back, I think that's very much a racist trope. Then came the kicker. When illegal voting came up, Tlaib hid behind, you have to be an American citizen to vote. Exactly, that's the whole racket. Keep automatic citizenship, expand the pool, mock loyalty as racism, deny the downstream consequences. Tlaib did not just defend a policy. Rashida Tlaib defended a machine that treats citizenship like a clerical form stamped between delivery and discharge. Trump is crushing the machine, and Democrats are still guarding it. If you want to see where this ideology ends, look at Tim Walz in Minnesota. DHS says Walz and the Minnesota Board of Pardons shielded Tu Lu Vang from removal after convictions tied to the repeated sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl. The letter even says congratulations and brags that the pardon purges the record. That's the dark mirror of the same agenda. Fake compassion for violators, contempt for citizens, special protection for the deportable. Trump treats visas as a privilege. Tim Walz treats deportation as an inconvenience. Brett Kavanaugh opened the lane, and Chip Roy is right to demand action. Rand Paul is right that Republicans cannot sit around waiting for consultants to test the mood. Congress needs to close the loophole, codify Trump's crackdown, and bury this scam pipeline for good. Put your take in the comments. and send this to one person who still thinks this abuse was normal and force the issue where your representatives live. And I want to make sure that you stay on the inside track of the news that we create here at the Next News Network. I've seen your comments. I've heard your frustration. And that's why I set up this number. And thousands of patriots have already taken advantage of it. All you do is text the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. You got on our text message list, and I'll send you a text message every night when the notifications from YouTube never arrive, so you can have a direct link to get caught up on the day's news. So you're informed, and you can make informed decisions for your friends and your family. And make sure you're celebrating all the wins as we approach America's 250th birthday by going to the merch shelf below this video or shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this. Share this now.